So now here you can see that these all are the different layers which are available, which have to be provided by any company to for any setup. If they want to set up their own organization, what they have to do is that they have to sort out these different layers within the organization. So this here we are saying the cloud computing, but the same was applicable for the on-premise system as well. If you look at the on-premise system, then everything from physical storage, virtual machine, physical servers, operating system, data, and software, all these layers were managed by the organization itself. So it was a very challenging task. It was very time consuming, and the setup used to take years and months to actually procure. So here you can see that different physical servers had to be installed, and then virtual machines, and they had to install physical servers. They used to have these server rooms where they used to keep all these different servers, and then they used to provide a connectivity between them, and the entire team was dedicated for all these purposes. And then finally, once everything is sorted, and then they used to install this operating system, and they used to provide different software to different people. And again, they had to make sure that the software and operating system is always up to date, so that just in case users have the secure system and secure software access. Again, everything was under the control of company, but it was a very time-taking and very tedious process for them. So that is why they have now been moving to something called as cloud computing, where you can see that we have different layers where we can actually say that okay, this particular layers will be taken care by some different vendors, and then these different layers can be taken up by different vendors, so that we as a users do not have to users or clients, for it's beneficial for all. So as a client, they do not have to worry about different layers, they do not have to maintain or manage these layers, whereas they can give it to some other vendors to take care of. If you look at these three layers, the bottom three layers, here these three, the actually infrastructure, which is physical servers, virtual machine, and physical storage, that will be provided by your cloud providers. So the company doesn't has to create any physical servers, which physical machines, and all these hardware components can be taken care by the AWS, Azure, or GCP. As a part of this course, we will be taking care is of the AWS. We will see how we can integrate the AWS, how we can use AWS for different purposes, how it is being used as connectivity with Snowflake, how we can load data, unload data, and different features related to AWS. And then here you can see that the software layer is taking care of the operating system layer, the data layer, and the software itself. This is Snowflake, and the data corresponds to the data which has been generated by the Snowflake data warehouse. So this is the different tables or different objects which are created in the database. So now the user is only provided with the application. Here you can see that this is something called a software as a service. So we are provided with the link to which we can connect to this application. We can use this application, and it is provided to as a service. And there is something called as pay per use model. So we pay for only those capabilities which we need, and we are billed accordingly. And you can compare this cloud computing. We have already been using computing. If you look at the apps, we are using different applications. Just as Gmail, we have Dropbox, where we are just using the application. We do not care about how the data is stored, where the data is stored, and which operating system it is using, where the servers are actually in the cloud. And other option, if you want to compare the on-premise system, everything is was used to be the responsibility of the customers. So that is like owning a car. If you buy a car and if you own a car, then you are responsible for taking care of it. If something is wrong, then you are responsible. You have to take it to the repair center. If you want the upgrades, it's your responsibility. If you look at the on-premise model, but in the cloud computing, you can say that you are using an Uber app. In the Uber app, what you have to do is that you just have to install the app. You don't actually have to buy a car, but you can rent a car, and you do not have to worry about what color of that car is, whether that car is having proper license or not. If the car goes any issues, then it's the company's responsibility to make sure that the car is properly working. Is it clear why this is actually provided for you, so that you can understand why everyone is moving to the cloud computing? It actually removes a lot of system of time, and if something goes wrong, then it is the responsibility of the team which is providing you the different components, and you can just focus on your work. If you are a database developer, then you can just log into your application and do your task. If you are AML expert, then you log in into your application and do your work. You do not have to worry about what is going on in the backend. Is it okay? Any questions there?
No questions, but Vipul, could you speak a little bit slower though? So,
Oh, okay. No issue, no issue. Sure. So you want me to repeat this or is
yeah,
it fine?
no, this is good. And then I was wondering, you mentioned in the training you are going to do the AWS. Is that what you said?
Yes. For the AWS, actually, we need this AWS for the connectivity purposes. Because if you see that this sorts of this this component, if you want to load some files from the cloud provider, then you
Mm-hmm.
need to load data from AWS. We need S3 buckets. So here you can see that this is the very high level overview of the Snowflake data warehouse. So here, in all, at a very high level, we can say that it has these three layers. We have the storage layer, where actually your table data and all the database artifacts are saved. And then once your data is saved in these different storage layer, then we have something query processing layer. You can compare this storage layer to be your hard disk in your laptop, and the query processing layer you can compare it to your CPU and RAM. So that is why if you want to process something, even if you want to process something in our systems, the processing is taken care by the RAM and CPU. And if any data is required for processing, then it is taken from the hard disk. So the same architecture is available here as well. So virtual warehouses are actually called the muscles of the system. So they perform a massive parallel processing for us. And then on the topmost layer, we have the cloud services layer, which is called the brain of the system, which takes care of managing infrastructure, access control, security, optimization, and metadata. So let us take an example of how this entire architecture looks like. So let's say if I am sending any query to my Snowflake data warehouse. So first of all, it will hit the cloud services layer. So from the cloud services layer, what it will do is that it will first of all do the access control to see whether I can actually access the data which I'm asking for or not. And it will check whether there is any security measures on that table or not. And then it will optimize the query which I am sending to the data warehouse. So then once if it finds that everything is fine, I can access the table, and then the query is optimized. Then that optimized query is sent to the query processing layer. The query processing layer is actually responsible for actually executing the query. So let's say if I send a query, let's say select star from table A, join table B, or if I say any union query, then that processing of the query will be taken care by the virtual warehouses. They will take the storage data, they will take the data from the storage, and then they will perform those manipulations, whichever I have said to them, and then finally it will return the results to our cloud services layer, which is front end layer. So this is a very high level overview of how things work in the Snowflake. Any questions there? So is it fine? Any questions? Shall we
No.
move forward? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want, I will show you one thing. So during the entire course, we will be going through the Snowflake Data Warehouse official documentation. So here we will be covering all these topics. So here you can see what all topics we are going to cover. We will see connecting to Snowflake. Here we will see that different ways to connect to the Snowflake Data Warehouse. So we will see how we can connect to the Snowflake Data Warehouse using SnowSQL. And there is one more way to connect to it. If you see here, we will see that how we can connect to it using SnowSQL. And there is a one more, this is a CLI tool. And as well as there is something called a SnowSite, which is the front end tool. So this tool is also provided by Snowflake. So the only difference is that it is a CLI client. So from here we can only send the queries from here. So we need to install a very small software, and then we are good to go, and we can connect to our Snowflake data warehouse as well. And as a second part of the course, we will deep dive into the virtual warehouses. We will see the overview. We will see what is multi-clustering, and then how we can work this with the virtual warehouses, what is the query acceleration service, and so on. And then once we are comfortable with the virtual warehouses, then we will go to the next layer, which was the this layer, the storage layer. And then in the storage layer we will see how the data is actually stored, what are different type of tables, what are external tables, what are external SOS, that is search optimization service. So these all are actually used to optimize your search within the particular table. And then we will see what are views, what are different type of views, what is client, what is data storage. And then we will see what all different data types we have within our Snowflake data warehouse. Then we will understand how we can load data into our Snowflake data warehouse. And data unloading, meaning that how we can export the data from Snowflake data warehouse into another file. And then we will see how we can have some basic queries, how we can do joins, how we can do subqueries, and these very important queries which are SQL and SI standards. So the syntax remains same. If you know SQL Server, if you know Oracle, then the standard is going to be the same. Then the syntax is going to be the same. And then once we are fine with that, then we will see how we can do the data sharing from our Snowflake account to other Snowflake accounts, and how we can collaborate together. And after that, we will learn what are alerts and notifications, how we can create an alerts, and how we can send notifications within our Snowflake account. And then we will touch this topic, security topic. We will not be going very deep into this topic. This is more of an admin task. But yes, we will understand how the different security mechanisms are there within Snowflake Data Warehouse. Then we will understand how we can actually protect the data within our Snowflake Data Warehouse. So we have this data governance. We will understand what is tagging, what is classification. We have different masking policies, how we can access the history, and so on. And once we have gone through there, then we will see something called as this business continuity and data recovery. Here we will see that if something goes wrong in our Snowflake Data Warehouse account, how we can switch over to another account for to make sure that the business is continuously running and it doesn't get affected. And then in the end, we will see how we can do the performance optimization and the cost management within our Snowflake Data Warehouse. So you can see that we will be covering all these topics which are here in the Snowflake Data Warehouse official documentation. The good thing which I say, I use this documentation for the entire course, is that we have this is an official documentation first thing. So we will not be referring to some other blogs or different videos which are available in the internet. This can be our single source of truth. And if some feature changes, then it is updated by Snowflake Data Warehouse. If a new feature comes in, then it will also be added to this documentation. And another good thing of using this documentation is that you will know that no topic will be left behind, or yeah, you know that you are going for Snow Pro Code certification, which is an entry level certification we have. So you can target for this certification after this course. So this is an entry level certification. You can see here, you can see that it has different topics like the data loading, transformation in Snowflake, virtual warehouse performance and concurrency, DDLDML queries, how we can use the semi-structured and unstructured data, what is cloning and time travel, data sharing, account management and structure. So all these topics will be covered within this documentation, and nothing is going to come outside of this documentation. So you will be very confident once after the sessions are complete, you will be confident to go for that certification. So this is all we are going to cover as a part of this course. And as soon as this course is completed, you will be confident to give your certification. Any questions? Any concerns?
I have a question here. So,
Yeah, sure.
in Snowflake, how many different certifications do we have?
In Snowflake, we have a lot of certifications. If I go here, then you can see that there are a lot of, I mean, these are in different languages. But
Okay,
here you can see,
let me narrow down the search. Uh, uh, for a data engineer, what would be a good certification?
for data engineer, you have a dedicated this data engineer certification. But before that, we have to give this no pro code certification, which is an entry level certification.
Okay.
So if you these are specialties. You have data engineer, you have data scientist, you have administrator. These are all your specifications. But before that, you have to give this Snowpro core certification, which is an entry level.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Just like in AWS, right? In AWS as well, if you know, we have multiple certification. There are different levels. So this is so, but one is your entry level, so that you can say that okay, I know about this course, and then you can go move forward to your specific area or skill set.
Okay.
So here we will be going for this Snowpro core certification, and for this here you can see that you need 6 months of practical experience with Snowflake, and then once you are through, then you can go for that specific data engineer, which requires at least 2+ years of hands-on or Snowflake engineer role. That that will need you to be aware of more data engineer specific terminologies. And here you can see that these data lakes, transform, replicate, designing the real-time scenarios, and these are all advanced topics. But before that, you have to give this basic certification. So we will be covering all the topics. So you will be clearing this for without any doubt very easily, because you will not be we will not be leaving any specific topic, so that it's not like that we will be coming and covering the topics, different topics, but we will actually learn and understand where it fits in the big picture, how we can use these different features within the Snowflake data warehouse. And we will also understand, because most of the projects these time are for the migration projects. It is very rare that a company is starting from scratch with a Snowflake data warehouse. So we will also understand how we can actually migrate from a different database or data warehouse into the Snowflake data warehouse, so that you are ready for both the things. If you want to go for a certification, you can do that. But in parallel, if you also want to apply for a migration specialist role, then you can also do that. That's it from my side. Any
This is
questions?
a couple of questions. You have any more?
No, no,
No.
no. Done from my side.
Okay. So Vipul, first question I have is, within Snowflake, there are so many flavors, right? There's Snowflake,
Right.
Snowpipe, Snowlight, and when you were classing through, I saw something else, Snow, something you said. So what are all this? How are these things connected?
First thing is that the the issue with the Snowflake data warehouse is that they have different features starting with Snow. Just to not let you confused, this Snow site is actually this. If you log in into your Snowflake account, let me log in there. Yes, it will ask me my user ID password. This is your Snow site, right, where you get all these visual tools. You can do different activities. You can be in administration. You can create users. You can. This is your Snow site where you get a very good UI tool where you can do different manipulations. And then again, you have something called as NoSQL. If you want to see NoSQL, then it is within the. It is just a command line tool. So here you can see that your NoSQL. NoSQL is there. So here you can see that NoSQL is also installed on the system. So here you can see that a tool installed and the NoSQL is installed. So you can also give some different queries from your system to your Snowflake account. You can connect to your Snowflake account using your system. And then we have something called a Snowpipe, which you were saying is that is a type of loading mechanism. We can load the data into our Snowflake data warehouse either batch time or real time. This batch loading is there, but this Snowpipe is for real-time loading of data.
Okay, there is something for streaming. So now,
Yes,
where
streams
do
are
I
also
see
there. Here
no
they are.
stream?
Snowstream is not there. There is something called the streams. So these streams are actually used for the CTC operation. If you want to load only your data, then you can go for the streams. So they will actually look at the table or view which you want, and then it will tell you which all rows have been changed. So this is something called as streams. Any other term which you want to discuss?
Streamlit. Yeah, there is something called a streamlit, right?
So
So
everything will be there in
my
it.
correct. My confusion is, so what are the things? So what is Snowflake and what are all these other things like SAS, SnowSQL, SnowSite, SnowPipe, Streamlit? So what are all this under Snow? I'm getting confused with what is Snowflake
Mhm.
and what are the other things.
Okay, okay, let me tell you. Can you see my screen?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So let us go at a very high level. So this is your Snowflake data warehouse. Okay. So your Snowflake data warehouse will be sitting on some cloud provider. Okay. So let's, for instance, we can, okay, one second, let me do it like this. So this is sitting on your cloud services. Okay. So these cloud services can be provided by your AWS or GCP or Azure, and then it will be within a region, let's say any region. Okay. Then you
Mm-hmm.
have a Snowflake data warehouse where you will have these three layers, which we discussed. We have
Yeah.
the data layer, we have the compute layer, which is your virtual warehouses, and then you have the front end layer, which is cloud services. Okay. Again, this will be your front end layer. Okay. Now, what you want to do is that you want to either migrate the data into your Snowflake data warehouse, you want to do some manipulation within your data warehouse, or you want to export the data. So, if you look at your Snowflake data warehouse, then you can connect to your Snowflake data warehouse through different ways. Either you can log in directly. Okay, if you say this is your browser, what do I have done so far? If you have a browser, then you will be provided with a link to connect to your Snowflake data warehouse, which I just did, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
what you do is that you can connect to your Snowflake data warehouse so that you can do manipulation on top of it. So from your browser, you will connect to your Snowflake data warehouse. You have different features which you can use to increase or decrease your virtual warehouses, to create users, to create rows, to use different privileges, to create database artifacts such as table, views, and everything. And again, again from different from your browser, you get some more tools. You can connect it through third-party apps, or you have something called as SnowSQL, which we just saw, to connect to your Snowflake data warehouse, right? And then we have different features within our Snowflake data warehouse. So once you have connected to your Snowflake data warehouse account, then we have different features. Let's say if you want to move your data within your Snowflake data warehouse, then let's say we will have a this S3 bucket, let's say, okay, and you want to load the data from S3 bucket into your Snowflake data warehouse table, right? Let's say there is a table A over here. You want to copy data from this S3 bucket file into your table A, okay? And then what you have is that you can load the data into your this table A using different mechanisms. So different
Mm-hmm.
loading methods are there, okay, to load the data. You can either load the data in bulk or batch mode, or what you can do is that you can load the data in real time, which is called Snowpipe. Okay. So if you are loading the data from a remote cloud location S3 bucket in a real-time mode, then it is called Snowpipe. So different terms they have for different this what you can say that different capabilities you can do. And then if you have a data, if you have a table within your Snowflake data warehouse, and you want to do some CTC operations on top of it, if you want to see only those changes which have happened onto this table, then this CTC operation is called as then you can create streams on your tables, and if you want to see only this delta data on your table, then you can use this streams operations on your data warehouse. So you can create views in your Snowflake data warehouse, You can create users, you can create roles, you can assign some privileges, and you have different capabilities in virtual warehouse. You can create a virtual warehouse, you can remove a virtual warehouse, you can drop a virtual warehouse, and all these different terminologies are there. They are associated to within your Snowflake data warehouse account. So these are different capabilities which you can do within your Snowflake data
So,
warehouse.
so what we are learning here, what will do I would I be learning Streamlit? Would I be learning
Yeah,
SnowSQL, SnowPipe?
everything,
Uh,
everything. You can see
in
that
your
everything.
training, what will we be learning?
You will be learning all these capabilities which I have shown you here in the documentation. So we will learn how we can connect to this Snowflake data warehouse using Snowsite and SnowSQL. And then we will learn everything about different capabilities we have for the virtual warehouses. We will learn how we can create tables, how we can make sure that the table data is easily
Got
accessible.
it. So yeah. These ones I kind of got it, but I'm still confused. See, in my company, most of the time what we use is SnowPipe, there's something called a Streamlit,
Right.
uh, and Snowsite. I haven't, those are the couple of things that I hear about. So in your conversation, you never brought up anything about SnowPipe or Streamlit. Is Streamlit and the
Actually,
streams are the same?
yes. If I go to the data loading, here you can see that I have this Snowpack over here.
Correct. Yeah.
And
Snowpipe.
then
There
if
you go. Snowpipe stream.
I go down a bit more, then we have these streams over here as
Got it. So in the and how long is this training? I don't know if it is a question for you. How many sessions we are looking at for this entire course from now until we get the certification?
well. This is a 20-hour course.
20 hours. So 20
Yes.
and it's a 1 hour session every.
But it
Um,
can be one or more than one. So we will be covering everything in 20 hours. If you want weekday, weekend as well, then we can do that for you as well.
we can do that. Okay.
If you have weekends, we can do that. If you want weekdays, that's also fine. If you want both weekday and weekends, that also we can do. So
Okay.
it's
Cool.
based out.